It's a strange world we live in. Companies re-release and remaster old games and they do really well, as if people find older games much better than what we get now. But the industry never learns from this and keeps making vapid, boring games anyway. And now the MMO has got the re-release treatment in WoW Classic. And it's good, but this is a re-release that preserves the game as it was in 2004 with some nicer graphics options. So are the old school design choices for the best? Well, let's have a butcher's. For a start, character creation feels a bit limited compared to newer games in the genre, and before anyone says how can you complain about a re-release from 2005, well WoW costs you $10 a month and there are cheaper MMOs and free ones out there as its competition. Wouldn't have hurt to add in a few more cosmetic options in the character creator, that's all I'm saying. Obviously I went with Horde because if you've played Warcraft 3 you would know that the orcs and the trolls are absolute lads and that the humans and all the Alliance are dickheads. I do like that certain classes are only available to certain races and factions, like the Paladin can only be played by the Alliance but the Horde get the Shaman. Gives the races and factions more of their own identity. That made me go, ooh cool, I'll make a character for both factions then and see both sides, but no, if you're playing on a PvP enabled server you can't, which is a bit disappointing. I understand the reasoning that twats will basically play spy with their characters, but maybe add a time limit so when you log out of your Alliance character you can't go onto your Horde one for another 20 minutes or something. So you make your character and get introduced to the world, and what a world it is. It's large, colourful, varied, and thanks to the massive player base feels full of life as well. You have to walk to places a hell of a lot in this game, and fast travel options are limited to your Hearthstone, which teleports you to the inn you've made your home but has a 1 hour cooldown, or portals to capital cities that only mages can make. This gives you a lot of time to take the world in and get immersed in it. You might be walking down the road only to see a suspicious cave that is begging to be explored, then you find a quest line that leads to some good rewards, like you're actually going on an adventure and not just some lead you by the nose bollocks. And even the fastest way to get around the world, the Wind Riders, can't be skipped. You have to have visited a location first and talk to the Wind Rider master to be able to fly there. You get these really scenic flights across continents, seeing other players going about their business. I know some people will find it annoying, but it just makes the world feel so much more alive and real to me. It's just so much more immersive than other MMOs. For example, when questing, you don't get a map icon telling you exactly where to go and what to do. You have to read the quest descriptions for directions and hints, which really helped me get into the role of an adventurer. I knew what I was doing and why it needed doing, whereas in any other MMO you would skip the text like, yeah, just give me the XP. Also in most MMOs, you quest solo and only join up with other players to do dungeons because the quests are so easy and mind-numbing you don't need other players. Well, WoW Classic's quests can be quite challenging, mainly because there are a lot of enemies lurking about near objectives, and if you go in solo, you will get gang-fucked pretty quick and killed. So in Classic it's much more efficient to team up with other people to get quests done, and it's handled reasonably well. If you have a quest to say kill 12 raptors, each member of your party doesn't have to kill 12 of them each, it's just one total. But quests where you have to get certain drops off enemies can really take the piss. I had one where I had to get 6 necklaces and an insignia off some cultists. Sounds easy enough, right? Well, no. After killing about 30 of them, I had 4 of them and no insignia. Yes, you can earn XP from each kill, but I'm sure most people would want to move on by a certain point. There's also quests where you're required to kill a boss character out in the world, but once they have been killed, they take ages to spawn again, and with so many players about, queues are formed. But most of the time, it's just a free-for-all, with crowds of players waiting for the poor bastard to spawn, and then it's whoever can land the first attack to claim it. And the same happens with quests that require you to pick up certain items in the environment. Yes, it sounds pretty funny, but it's not when you're playing. It's pure time wasting that could be spent doing something a lot more constructive or playing a different game. Combining that bollocks with the ridiculous queue times you have to go through just to get into the game, you have a game that is really wasting your time. Yes, it will calm down in a couple of weeks, when all the virgins race to level 60 and realise there's no content for endgame yet, but I'm reviewing what's in front of me now. The dungeons disappointed me a little bit as well, mostly the bosses. In other MMOs, boss bosses had certain mechanics like getting out of the way of their AoEs, which might sound simple, but it adds an extra layer to the fight. But so far for me there has been none of that. It just boils down to the tanking everything, your damage dealers nuking it, and pretty much how you deal with the regular enemies in the dungeons. The professions are a good time and money sink. I chose tailoring and enchanting because that seemed to complement my mage quite well. Gathering the resources to make what you want is really rewarding because you can either make yourself some nicer gear or sell it to other players for fat dollar. Some of the things done in the name of immersion can be a bit piss-takey. For example, class trainers are dotted about the map sparingly, so when you level up in some areas you have to travel really far to get your new and improved skills. I get it, it would be stupid if there was a mage trainer on every street corner, but it's also something that will waste a good chunk of your time. You also have to train your weapon skills by using them in battle, like Skyrim. So when you get certified with a new weapon, you're going to have to train on some low level mobs because you will miss a hell of a lot. Again, I quite like this. It's nice to see that your character isn't some chosen one cunt who is great at everything. You have to work to get to that hero status. Graphically, the game still looks really nice. The colour palette and art style have really held up. The animations can look a bit primitive, but the world just feels so alive and varied. It's weird that a game from 2004 can pull this off better than games today. I have the game running on the highest settings, not a boast, because I find the nicer graphics a bit more immersive, but if you want, there is a graphical option that makes the game look exactly like it was back then. Only I imagine people have higher resolution monitors now, so set your monitor to 800 by 600 if you want the real classic experience, I suppose. The community is really alive. Like I said earlier, in most MMOs you play solo, then team up with players to get through a dungeon as fast as you can because no one has patience these days. But thanks to WoW making even the act of questing more convenient in groups, you get people working together all over the place. And in my experience, most of them have been pretty cool. Obviously you're going to get one or two dick splashes, but that's life, innit? So to finish, yes, it's really good. Usually in MMOs I play for a while and have to take a good look at myself and go, what the fuck are you doing? Amazingly, I haven't done that with Classic, but I think you'll save yourself a lot of time and frustration if you wait a week or two to play. Unless you've already bought subscription, might as well try and get your money's worth.